Welcome back to the Irish Bandit channel, or if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I, as always, am your host, the one, the only, the second Irish Bandit. Boy, it's good to get back to doing normal videos after the craziness that was the top 10 movies of all, my favorite movies of all time, and then the two-parter Sask Expo. But we're back to a normal schedule, and if you know me and watched any of my videos for a long time, you know what a fan I am of Funko's vinyl pop figures. Like in a lot of my older videos, you see a vinyl pop figures sitting just right over here. Well, I'd have the camera tilted a little bit to this direction, if you can see that, understand that. Need to be sitting, a vinyl pop figure just be sitting on this Gene Simmons figure I have next to me, but I have like a whole bunch of vinyl pop figures. Like just looking down here, you have the Green Ranger. I have that one. I have White Ranger. I have, who else? I have Sadness, who I talked about in the previous video, and didn't want to bring her out. What else? I also have like full sets of like the Cowboy Bebop cast. I have Ed. I have no Ed. No. I have Faye, I have Jet, I have Spike, and Vicious just decided to kill himself after he must have saw what they did to him in the Cowboy Bebop Netflix adaptation. But yes, I have Spike. I'm dropping crap everywhere. Give me a moment. It's all gone horribly wrong. Okay, well, okay, whatever. And so, like I said, I also have the Vicious figure. He fell off the ledge here. Like I said, I think he saw what they did to him in the Netflix series. But, well, we're done talking about that. But yes, there are a lot of vinyl Funko vinyl pops, of just about anything you can imagine. Like there are even horror icon vinyl pops, like Dracula, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Xenomorphs, you name it, it's probably been done. But there are still quite a few properties that have not been touched by Funko. That's what we're going to talk about today, as I talk about 12 Funko vinyl pop figures I myself would personally love to see. Now, this isn't a countdown of least to most I want to see. These are all things that I want to equally see as future pop releases, and we're always getting something new every month from Funko. So could these happen in the future? Some are a possibility, some I don't know, but let's talk about the 12 that I want to see starting off. Now, one of the big things about Funko is that they're all about retro as well. And it doesn't get more retro than this quintessential 90s band who I've talked about quite a bit on this channel. I would love to see a series of S Club 7 pops. Funko have been doing a lot more music-related pops as of late, and you see a whole lot of new ones coming out, especially ones where it's a bigger box with like a normal size pop figure inside, just using Faye for an example. Faith. But I lost my train of thought. But they've been doing a lot more music-related pops, so what could be more perfect than S Club 7? Like, you can do one at a time. Like, you can do a different, you can do 4 one set and then 3 the next set. And they had so many looks throughout their run that you can just go with anything. You could pick an episode of Miami, of looks they used in that, or in one of the movies like Boyfriends and Birthdays or Back to the 50s. You could do a whole bunch of variants. You could have them wearing the outfits they wore in the Never Had a Dream Come True video. That would be an amazing chase variant for S Club 7. Or you could just do it all together, because I have seen pop sets of multiple members of bands, so you can do all 7 members. You could do a set that included Joe, Tina, Bradley, Paul, John, Hannah, and Rachel. Or you could just do them individually as well. Like one set you could do like all 4 females. The next set that comes out, you can do the 3 males. Or you could do whatever you want with that. They had so many, like I said, they had so many different looks, so many different hairstyles. that you could pick just about anything and it would work. So an S Club 7 Pop figure collection would be amazing and be one that I would get every figure of. Sticking with music, and we're going to have a lot of music pop up through here and shows you my different array of musical taste. There's one artist who I think is just begging for a pop figure to come out, or multiple pop figures, given all the looks he's had, different looks he's had over the years. If we don't mention Chris Gaines, that is, I would love to see Funko vinyl pop figures of Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks has had a number of different looks over the years, starting out with his debut, self-titled debut album, Garth Brooks, back in 1989, all the way to today. Can you believe the man is 60 years old now? That blew my mind. He does not look 60. But either way, Garth has had so many looks that you can do from over the years, even from his different albums. Like, you could do a figure based on the Rope and Wind album cover, or the In Pieces album cover. You could have final pop figures from his one of his specials. This is Garth Brooks. This is Garth Brooks 2. There's so much you could do. Even just like black hat, white t-shirt, black jeans. The look he had on the Sevens album cover. You could do that as well. It's just, the sky's the limit with anything you can do with Garth Brooks. All you have to have is just like the hat. As long as you remember that, it's all good. You can just basically do anything from there. So I would love a series of Garth Brooks pops as well. Pivoting away from music, I talk about this show a lot. I'm going to talk about later on the next week's episode of next week's video, I should say. Talking about this show, I think this would make for a perfect series of pops because of everything that happened with the ever-rotating cast of this show. But myself personally, I would love to see pop figures made of the Criminal Minds cast. So this is another series that could be easily done. You could do the original cast of Gideon, Hotch, L, Reed, Morgan, Gideon, Hotch, L, Reed, Morgan, JJ, and Garcia. You can do those 7 initially, and then another series could be Rossi and Prentice, and then everyone else who they brought on afterwards. So, because there was just a revolving door of cast members during the 15 seasons of Criminal Minds. So you have so many to pick from. You have like the Jean Triplehorn character, who I can't remember her name. You have the Jennifer Love Hewitt character, who I can't remember her name. You have the Rachel Nichols character, who I can't remember her name. Yeah, I'm watching through Criminal Minds right now on Disney Plus, and I'll figure all that out a different time. But you could do so much with the Criminal Minds cast. Like, you could even do Morgan and Garcia variants as well, with how many different looks they've had over the years. Like, you could have the flat top Morgan, or the bald Morgan, or the goatee Morgan. You could have red-haired Garcia. You could have blonde Garcia. You could have Garcia looking serious. You could have Garcia looking colorful. You could do anything. And I will tell you this, if there's ever a Penelope Garcia pop, I'm first in line to get that, because that is something I need in my life. Garcia is one of my all-time favorite characters in any TV show. So yeah, of course I would get a pop figure of her. That's just no question right there. But like I said, do a first run of the original cast members, then add the new cast members for the second series. And I think that would go over really, really well. Another TV series that I would love to see pop figures made of, it's one of my favorite series of all time, one of 3 that I always, always, always recommend to anybody, along with Breaking Bad and Sons of Anarchy. There's The Shield. The Shield is another show where they had so many characters that you could do multiple releases for a series. Like, you could start off with the strike team itself of Vic, Shane, Lem, and Ronnie. So you could do those four initially, and then you could have like the Captain Aceveda, CCH Pounder's character. I need to watch The Shield again. It's such a good show. Dutch. What's her name? What's it? Catherine Dent's character in the show. I can't remember what her name is. Yeah, Catherine Dent's character. Again, I don't remember what her name is. Julian. Although the actor who played Julian kind of got himself in a little bit of legal trouble. I don't know if they want to immortalize him, but but you could do so much. You could do the character Glenn Close played, Forrest Whitaker. There's just so much. Again, you could do. Like, you could do multiple releases. You could do a set of just the Strike Team. That would be awesome. And then you put like the Shield logo behind it. I think it would be amazing to see these pop figures. I saw someone make a homemade, like a fan-made figure of Vic. That's cool, but I want the real thing, damn it. I would love to see that. And, you know, Funko isn't afraid to make pop figures of more adult-oriented things, like too adult. Like, I mean, my God, they put out a Freddy Krueger one, so I don't think it'd be too much to ask to put out a Vic Mackey or a Shane Van Drell one. Personally, I'd love to see it. But if you're, hey, Funko, if you're watching this, these are some ideas for you. Another one I would love to see, and now we're steering away from TV for a moment, and we are going into video games, because you could do so much with this franchise. It is not even funny. This is a long-running franchise that's been around since 1987. It's still going along strong today. I would love it if Square Enix were to strike a deal with Funko to make Final Fantasy pop figures. So you know me and my love for Final Fantasy VII, but we're not just talking about Final Fantasy VII, we're talking about Final Fantasy in general. All the mainline games, all the side games as well, like Crisis Core, Ever Crisis, Final Fantasy Tactics, Crystal Chronicles. You could put those in as well. Final Fantasy VII Remake, if you want to throw that in as well. But I'm mainly talking about the mainline games, starting back at Final Fantasy from 1987. So you could have like the Red Mage, Black Mage, White Mage, Fighter. You could have their evolved forms. You could go straight on to Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 5, Final Fantasy 6. You know, it would be cool to see a Terra figure, Terra pop figure. And then, of course, Final Fantasy 7. You could do a whole series of that. You know, first run, you have the Avalanche members, Cloud, Barrett, Tifa, Jesse, Biggs, Wedge. You could have, in the next set, Aerith, Sephiroth, Kate Sith, Cat She, whatever you want to call him, whatever. Vincent, Sid, Yuffie, Red 13, the Turks. You could do so much with it. And then go on to Final Fantasy 8, Squall, Renoa, Zell, Quistis, Selphie, Cypher, all those figures. Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy 10, all the way up to Final Fantasy 15 as well. Because I'm not going to include Final Fantasy 16 yet, because it hasn't been released yet. But there is so much. If Square Enix and Funko could come to reach an agreement, oh my God, you would see an avalanche, no pun intended, of Final Fantasy stuff coming down the pike for Funko. It would be awesome. I would snap up any that I could. Like, I would definitely get Final Fantasy 1, because that's the game that introduced me to RPGs. Might not get anything from Final Fantasy 2 through 5. 6, I get a little bit of it. So I probably would get like a Kefka pop figure. Final Fantasy 7, of course. I would get them all. I don't think you need to even ask me that. I would get them all. Final Fantasy 8, yeah, I probably would get a few. Definitely Squall, definitely Renoa, because, oh, I love them together. Definitely Quistis, because Van Halen got it bad. DMCA. Didn't really play a lot of Final Fantasy 9, but Final Fantasy 10, sure. And then after that, we'll see. But my God, a Final Fantasy series of Funko Pops? Come on, how is this already not a thing? Going back to TV, there's a TV show back from 2006 that captured my imagination that I would love to see immortalized in the pop genre, pop figures, I guess is more the word. Anyway, there has been, of course, there was a series, but there was also a series of comic books that came out after the show's second season cancellation. But a series of pops would just be amazing. I would love to see Funko Pop figures based on the cast of Jericho. I would put Jericho in the pantheon of shows like Star Trek that were saved by the fans. If it wasn't for the grassroots movement that happened to save that show at the end of its first season, we wouldn't be talking about it to this very day. And like I said, there have been comic books to come out that had the plot lines of season 4 and season 3. Switch that, reverse it, but to carry on the story after everything that happened in the first 2 seasons. But Jericho was such a monumental show just for the reasons of the fan base getting so behind it and putting the protest in that they did, sending CBS like tons and tons of nuts to get the show back on the air. Now, yeah, it worked, but even then, we kind of slacked off on that, and CBS canceled the show again. But I mean, Jericho is still around in one way, shape, or form, and I would love to see Funko Pop figures of the cast. Like, again, this is another show where you could do multiple series. Like, you could do like Jake and Eric Johnston, Johnston's wife. I don't remember the name of Pamela Reed's character in the show. So you can do the Greens at first, and then you can have like Emily and oh, it's been a while since I saw the show. Jake's best friend, his sister, the IRS agent he falls in love with. I'm totally spacing on names. I have the comic books over here. I could go read them. Stanley is Jake's best friend. So you can definitely do that. You could do Robert Hawkins. See, I remember him because he's one of the most interesting characters in the show. Director Valente from season 2. Phil Constantino, who still saying that name. I just want. What happened at the end of season 1? Anyway, the sergeant that what's his face played? Yeah, I don't remember. Like I said, it's been a while since I've seen any episodes. Isai Morales, that's it. The character he played. You could do so much with a Jericho line of pop figures that you could do like 3 or 4 different series, and it would be, every one of them would be awesome. Like, you could even do a pop figure of Jake in his car, like looking to see the mushroom cloud. I think that would be incredible. So yeah, a Jericho line would be fantastic. Going back to music, I would love to see this man get immortalized with the pop figure treatment. Now, I have seen fan-made pop, vinyl pop figures of him. I just hope that it really comes to fruition one of these days, and we finally get vinyl pop figure of the one and only Scat Man John Larkin. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I said everything I needed to say in the last segment when it comes to this pop figure that I want to see. But I will say he really only had one look. You know, he had the fedora and the suit. But Scatman John was known for much more than his Eurodance hit Scatman. He had such an extensive jazz knowledge that if you go back and listen to all of his jazz recordings, it's just outstanding. Like, I said this on Facebook a while ago, but when I started writing Shade Falling, that it's kind of a shame that he's only known for his Eurodance hits and not more for his jazz. But the fact that anyone knows about Scatman John, period, is just fantastic. The man was a genius and a legend, and he was taken from us too soon. And that's really why I'd love to see a Scatman John pop figure. He's just a phenomenal cultural icon who deserves his due. The man was fantastic. Genius piano player, genius scat singer, and with, you know, his Scat Man's World album is just the slice of the 90s that the part that you love is so wonderful, wonderful stuff. So yes, a Scatman John pop figure is much, much needed. Sticking with music, this band is my favorite band of all time, my favorite metal band, new metal band, whatever you want to call them. Coincidentally enough, when I'm filming this episode, it's been 3 years since I saw them live in concert. The last concert I went to before all the craziness of 2020 hit, but it was one of the best concerts that I've ever been to. I would love to see pop figures immortalizing Sully Erna and the boys of Godsmack. So anything I've said about S Club 7, Garth Brooks, Scatman John, you can add that to Godsmack because they've had so many looks over the years. You know, they've been around for about 30 years now. Wow, it's been that long. And they've had so many looks over the years that you can basically do anything with them. And it would just look awesome. Like do something with the debut album with that, or Awake, Faceless, you can even do that. Just anything would work with Godsmack. It would be awesome. You could even do a Sully Erna standalone variant as well, because, you know, he does have the 2 solo albums is out, so you could do that too. But I would love to see just a whole figure, a whole set of all 4 members of the band, Sully, Tony, Robbie, and Shannon. That would be, you know, I would buy that one, put that one up for display somewhere. As you can tell, you know, I take mine out of the box, but those ones I might leave in the box. I don't know, but maybe those ones might stay in the box. But again, Godsmack pops would be aces in my book. We're going to steer back to TV for this one. This was such a fantastic show, and I think with all the characters in this, much like what we've talked about already with Criminal Minds, Jericho, and even other shows that they brought out, like Sons of Anarchy, or anything like that, or The Shield, which I talked about earlier. I think they could do multiple series of figures for this show, and they would all be top-notch. Great FX show starring the one and only Dennis Leary. I would love to see some Rescue Me pops. This is another one where you could put out multiple series of Rescue Me pops, and each and every one of them would be great. You could do the initial Firehouse with Tommy and all. Again, I'm going to need to watch Rescue Me again to know everybody's names, but Tommy, Ken, Franco, I think that was his name. Yeah, Franco. Sean, I think, maybe. That could be it. So you could do the Firehouse. You could do Tommy's family, his dad, Janet, his wife, his kids, his 3 kids, 4 kids, for thinking to the end of this, or 3. No, I'll add Connor. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch Rescue Me. I don't put it up there with Breaking Bad, The Shield, or Sons of Anarchy, but it's definitely one you should watch. And then you could put like Tommy's lovers along the way as well. So there's just so much you could do. Tommy's cousin, who he sees visions of. Again, you have to watch Rescue Me to understand that one. But yeah, I think Rescue Me would be a great series, even if you just do like a Tommy figure, because he was the central figure. But Rescue Me would be fantastic as a pop figure series. Now, with this next one, I know that there is the U2's series that is out, but those only get pre-ordered and they only go to like certain people. But I think with the right deal, Funko could do something with this one. I think Funko should put out a bigger, wider line of YouTube content creators. And I mean, of course, I'm not going to throw myself in here. Of course, you know I wouldn't do that. But I'm talking about like the big name YouTubers, like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, Rosanna Pansino, The Game Grumps, Boogie 29983, Keemstar. Oh wait, they've already made one. But YouTubes can only do so much. Like they can only reach such a audience. Oh, going back to the list you could do, you could probably even do Unis Honest. I know that's a dead channel now, but you could do Mark and Ethan. But there's so many YouTubers you could pick from. Mr. Beast, Philip DeFranco. There are just so many you could pick from, and I think they would all sell. You wouldn't do it as a YouTube line. Like do it as the singular entity, character, person itself. Like so you just put out a Markiplier branded pop, Jacksepticeye branded, PewDiePie branded, Boogie branded, Row branded, Game Grumps branded. Like those two you could sell separately. Get a Danny and an Aaron one. Epic Mealtime, you could do that as well. You know, Harley. There's just so many you could do, and they would all sell given the fan bases of all these people. So definitely, I think it would be one worth looking into for Funko to do a line of YouTuber related pop figures. So we're going way back for this one. This is a show that I absolutely love to this very day. I've seen every episode of it, all 11 seasons. I don't really remember how many episodes there are, but there are well over 100. Fantastic show. One of the best concepts for a medical comedy, I guess, dramedy, I guess is a better word for it, and just an all-time classic series. It was the highest rated, highest ranking watched series finale ever. I would love to see vinyl pop figures of every character from the beloved sitcom MASH. So a lot like all the other series that I've talked about in this video today, this is another one where you could do multiple series of all the characters from the show. Like you could start it out with Hawkeye, of course, Trapper John, Frank Burns, and Major Houlihan, Margaret Houlihan. You could start out with those four. Next series, you got Henry Blake, Radar, Klinger, Father Mulcahy. The next series after that, you could have BJ, you could have Colonel Potter, you could have Winchester, and supplementary characters after that, like Colonel Flagg, Sidney Freeman, Igor. You could have anybody. Rizzo, Luther Rizzo, you could have him as well. So that would be a great series to have, to do. And if you do it that way, you could have all the main characters covered from the very first season to the 11th season. And there's, as far as variants go, you could maybe do them in their full officer's uniform, or you could just do them in their fatigues. Actually, no, you could do fatigues, you could do total army uniform, or you could do them in their surgical gear. So, because if you didn't see them in their fatigues, you saw them in their surgical gear, because that's what MASH was all about, our Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. There we go. I knew I'd get it, but I think a MASH line of pop figures would be fantastic. Rounding out this list, you know I talk about this game a lot because I love it. I think this one also really lends itself well to the pop vinyl aesthetic. I know we're getting Dendroid, I think it is, Monica figure, but I would absolutely love it if Funko put out a vinyl pop line of the characters from Doki Doki Literature Club. So while there isn't too much you could do with this line of figures, there's still enough you could do. Like you could have the four main girls in the game, Monica, Sayori, Yuri, Natsuki. You could have them in their school uniforms. You could do variants of Sayori, Yuri, and Natsuki in their casual gear. Or you could do variants of them in their more horrific forms. Like you could have Natsuki with her head broken, the eyes pixelated out, blood running down, the creepy smile on her face. You could have Yuri at the end of Act 2. You could have Jump Scare Monica. You could have Sayori at the end of Act 1. You could do those for variants. I think they would come out all really well. Like, I know for the main line, you would have just black button eyes for all the figures, but I mean, my God, Monica's standing there doing the pose from DDLC Plus with the big black eyes. That'd be a first day purchase for me, hands down, no questions asked. But that's another thing you could do, you know, for the variants, you could do the girls in their original pose from the original game. For a variant, you could do the girls in their new poses from DDLC Plus that came out in 2021. So there is a lot you could do with that. But I think a line of DDLC pop figures would just be fantastic, and I'd get every one of them. Every one they put out, I'd get, because they'd be cheap enough, unlike the Monica Nintendroid figure that's coming out, which is like $80, I think it is. A little too pricey for me, but I'd still love to get it. Given everything that it comes with, I would absolutely love to get it. So that's just a small list of the things that I want to see, or the pop icons that I would like to see as Funko Pop figures. But what are some of yours? Let me know in the comments section down below. I'd really love to read that. While you're down there, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. While you're down there, you're also going to see in the description all of my social media. Link to all of my social media, I should say. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. I've added so much since then. TikTok, Reddit, my Redbubble store. You can pick up all your Irish Bandit merchandise. Be sure to check that out. Also, while you're on TikTok, go give Jack Hart a follow. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, tap the bell and you'll be notified whenever a brand new video goes live. I will be back Thursday with the much waited on various artist showcase, talking about 6. Yes, 6. I know I said in the Monica After Story review that I would have 5, but I bumped that up to 6. So be on the lookout for that. I'll be looking at 6 different various artist mods that have come out in the past, telling you what I thought of them. And then next Tuesday, join me right back here as I'm going to be looking at my 5 favorite, I should say, Season 1 episodes of Criminal Minds. This is going to be an ongoing thing where I'm going to talk about Criminal Minds. It is one of my all-time favorite TV series, so I'll be looking at that. And every time I finish a season, because I'm watching it on Disney Plus right now, yes, I said Disney Plus, but every time I finish the season, I'll be talking about my 5 favorite episodes from that season. I'm currently on Season 2, so we're going to kick it off with Season 1 next week. And then coming up very, very soon as a special video, I'm going to be talking about my 5, actually, it's not going to be my 5, it's going to be your 5 most underrated Weird Al Yankovic songs. We're going to start something very soon with that, so be on the lookout for that. So, hope you guys join me again for Thursday's video, and I will talk to you again very, very soon.